In this session, I would like to discuss an important topic in mathematics called fractions. A fraction has a form given by a divided by b, where a is called the numerator and b is called the denominator. Now there are two types of fractions. We have so-called proper fraction versus improper fraction. For a fraction to be called proper, we have that the value a in the numerator must be less than the value of the denominator. So for example, we have 1 over 2, 2 over 3, 5 over 9. All these fractions are called proper fractions. And you would notice that proper fractions have value a over b between 0 and 1. Now, if the value of the numerator in the fraction is greater than the value of the denominator b, then this is called improper fractions. And for example, we have something like 7 over 2, 5 over 3, 10 over 7, and so on. So in this case, one would notice that the fraction a over b, the value of this fraction is greater than 1. So one important thing that students need to remember when dealing with fractions is the operation of long division. So this is an important tool that one needs to remember when dealing with fractions. Why? With long division, if you know long division, then a fraction can be converted so using long division, you can convert the fraction to decimal number and percentage. So using long division, the fraction can be converted to any of these two formats, decimals and percentages. So decimal like 1.23, percentage like 23%. So how would we convert a fraction to a decimal or a percentage? Is using long division. That's one side note. Now, for improper fraction, as we said that the fraction a over b is greater than 1, we can express this fraction as something called mixed number. What's a mixed number? A mixed number, if the fraction a over b is greater than 1, then, so this value is greater than 1, then you can express this as a whole integer or a whole number plus a proper fraction. So this is an improper fraction. Can be expressed as a whole number plus proper fraction. And usually we express it most commonly as the whole number, and then we stick with it the proper fraction next to it. For example, if I have a number like 7 divided by 5, how do we express this as a mixed number? So there are two ways to do it. This only depends on the numbers in the numerators and the denominators. Now you can see here, this is 7 over 5. They are small numbers. So one way to deal with this is to write 7 as a sum of two numbers divided by 5, where one of these numbers must be less than 5. So we know that this can be expressed as 5 plus 2, and then we can use the fraction distribution. So this can be distributed as 5 over 5 plus 2 over 5. And the answer will be 1 plus 2 over 5, which can be written as 1 2/5. Okay, so that's basically the mixed number format. Another example, if I say 120 divided by 13, how do we express this as a mixed number? Now, it may be difficult to actually convert this using the previous strategy, but what we can do is use long division. How? Let me show you. So the long division says that 120 divided by 13, and the way to do this is to do a kind of test. First of all, 1 doesn't divide 13. Now you take the first two digits. 12 doesn't divide 13. Then you have to take the three digits, and you have to find a number. How many 13s exist in 120? So the closest is 9. So 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11. So if you do the subtraction, you get 3. And since 3 is less than 13, we stop here. This is the remainder. And in this case, so 120, as you can see, can be expressed as 9 times 13, right? 9 times 13, so there are 9 13s in 120, plus 3. Okay, so if you divide this by 13, because we have 120 divided by 13, if you divide this by 13, you divide this by 13, then you would see that 13 with 13 will cancel out, and then 120 over 13 is expressed as 9 plus 3 over 13, which means that this is 9 3/13. That's the way how we express an improper fraction and mixed number. So this is improper fraction into mixed number. So now long division can be also used in converting a fraction into decimal. So how do we do that? So for example, 1/2 we know that is expressed as 0.5, or 1/4 we know that this is expressed as 0.25. But how do we do that? So let's take an example of 5 divided by 8. How do we express this as a whole number and decimals? So we use long division. So we have 5 divided by 8, and since 5 is a number less than 8, we cannot do a direct division. So the strategy is to add a 0 first to the 5, which becomes 50, and at the same time you add the decimal on top. So when you have now 50 divided by 8, we know that 8 times 5 is 40, 8 times 6 is 48, so we have 6, 8, and 50. So in this case, the answer is 48 when you perform the multiplication. 6 times 8 is 48, and then you perform subtraction. 50 minus 48 is 2. Now we need to continue. In order to find the corresponding decimal of this fraction 5/8, you need to continue until the remainder is 0. Is 0? No, it's not 0. So we need to continue the division. So 2 divided by 8, we cannot do that. We add a 0. But we don't need to add any decimal because we already added the decimal point. So now we have 20 divided by 8 is 2. So 2 times 8 is 16. Now perform the subtraction. Twenty minus 16 is 4. Now 4 divided by 8, we cannot do that. We add a 0. 40 divided by 8 is 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Perform the subtraction, and the remainder is 0. So we can stop. In this case, the answer is given by 0.625. And that's how we get the decimal number of a fraction. What about percentages? So if you have a fraction, you can convert it to a decimal number using the above strategy. And once you get the decimal number, if you multiply it by 100, then you get the percentage. So in our example, in the previous example, we had 5/8, When we convert it to decimal, it was 0.625 multiplied by 100. Then this will be 62.5%. Okay, so the 100 will make the decimal point move 2 places to the right. So that will be 62.5, and then you add the percentage. And that's it.